step away from the federal vehicle." Officer Ryan Keller said it like the sentence had already decided who Monica Carter was. The cooler in the back seat had 40 minutes left on its medical clock, and the temperature screen was blinking yellow. Monica stood at pump 3 of a roadside Virginia gas station, one hand still on the fuel nozzle, the other holding a sealed transfer folder against her chest. Heat shimmered above the asphalt. A tractor-trailer groaned past on the highway. Inside the black Federal sedan, behind tinted glass, a temperature-controlled medical cooler hummed softly like a second heartbeat. Monica looked at the officer, then at the dashboard clock. "Officer, that cargo is time-sensitive. Call the Pentagon operations desk and ask for Colonel Harris." Keller glanced at her jeans, her plain gray jacket, the tired set of her shoulders, and the brown skin he had already turned into evidence in his mind. He gave a short laugh that made the clerk behind the window look up. "The Pentagon does not send women like you to carry national security cargo." The words landed harder than the police lights flashing red and blue across the pump. A man near the ice machine stopped pretending not to stare. A woman in a minivan lowered her phone from her ear. Monica did not raise her voice. She could not afford pride. Not with soldiers waiting at Walter Reed Medical Center. Not with a sealed cooler whose contents had to stay within a narrow temperature range. Not with Sergeant Caleb Morris and 3 others running out of time because of a training accident no one at that gas station was cleared to understand. If stories about courage, justice, and truth under pressure matter to you, subscribe and stay with Monica until the end, because one phone call is about to expose a mistake that could have cost lives. Monica slowly set the fuel nozzle back into place and kept both hands visible. "I am authorized to transport this vehicle and its cargo," she said. "The seal number is in the federal system. You can verify it in less than 2 minutes." Keller moved closer, one hand resting near his radio, his face hard with the kind of confidence that did not leave room for questions. "Open the rear door." Monica's eyes flicked to the cooler. The small display flashed again. 39 minutes. "I cannot let you break the seal without clearance. You do not tell me what I can do." A second officer, Hannah Reed, stepped out of the other patrol car and looked past Keller toward the sedan. Her eyes caught the government seal on the rear door, the medical warning label, the blinking monitor. She hesitated. Monica saw the hesitation and held onto it like a match in a dark room. "Officer Reed," Monica said carefully, reading the nameplate, "check the seal number." "That is all I am asking." Keller turned sharply. "Do not pull my officer into whatever story you are selling." Monica's jaw tightened, but her voice stayed quiet. "This is not a story. It is a delivery window." Keller stepped between her and the car, blocking her view of the cooler. The police lights washed over his uniform, over the pump, over Monica's face, turning the whole gas station into a stage where everyone had already been given the wrong script. Monica breathed in slowly, tasting gasoline, dust, and humiliation. She remembered a medical convoy years ago that arrived 8 minutes late, and the silence that followed in the field hospital. She would not let that silence happen again. "Officer Keller," she said, each word steady, "you are running out of time, not me." Monica Carter had spent most of her adult life moving things that could not be late. Blood plasma through sandstorms. Antidote kits across flooded roads. Surgical supplies through checkpoints where one missing signature could cost an hour no patient had. She was not famous for it. Logistics rarely made headlines. Nobody clapped for the person who made sure the right medicine arrived before the room went quiet. But Monica knew the truth. Sometimes the difference between life and loss was not a surgeon, a general, or a speech. Sometimes it was a cooler staying cold in the back seat of a car while a woman at a gas station tried to make a police officer listen. She had served 8 years in military medical logistics before a convoy accident left a line of pain down her left side that still woke her on rainy mornings. After leaving uniform, she became a civilian coordinator for a defense medical program, the kind of job that required discretion, patience, and the ability to be underestimated without wasting time correcting everyone. She was good at that last part. Too good, maybe. She did not wear her clearance around her neck when she stopped for coffee. She did not announce federal authorizations to strangers. She did not enjoy using powerful names to protect herself from small-minded people. But today was different. Today the cooler carried a limited-dose treatment being rushed to Walter Reed Medical Center after a contained training accident exposed 4 soldiers to a chemical compound during a field exercise. Sergeant Caleb Morris was 26 years old. Monica knew his name because the hospital coordinator had said it twice on the secure line, once professionally, once like a prayer. Caleb had a mother flying in from Ohio, a younger sister driving from college, and a treatment window that did not care about county borders or bruised egos. The route had been planned down to the mile. Federal sedan from the depot outside Richmond. Fuel stop near Fredericksburg. Arrival at Walter Reed with 15 minutes to spare. That was before the caller at the gas station saw Monica beside the car and turned suspicion into a police response. Officer Ryan Keller stood between her and the vehicle now, broad shoulders blocking the rear door as if his body could rewrite the facts printed on the government seal. "You said Walter Reed," he said, his tone sharpening. "That is convenient." Monica looked at the cooler display through the glass. 37 minutes. "It is verifiable." "Everything you say is verifiable after you get caught." Officer Hannah Reed, still near her patrol car, looked uncomfortable. Her gaze moved from Monica's face to the medical cargo label on the sedan window. "Sir," she said carefully, "the seal does look federal." Keller did not turn around. "A label can be faked." Monica's voice stayed measured. "The seal number cannot." The clerk inside the store pressed closer to the glass, phone raised now. 2 customers near Pump 5 watched with the hungry stillness people get when they think someone else's humiliation might become entertainment. Monica felt their eyes on her jacket, her shoes, her hands, her skin. She knew the old math of public suspicion. Black woman plus federal car plus police lights equaled guilt to people who wanted simple stories. But the cooler hummed behind Keller, and Monica forced herself to care about that more. "Officer Keller," she said, "I am asking for one call. Pentagon Operations Desk. Colonel Evelyn Harris. If I am lying, you will know." Keller smiled without warmth. "And if I open that door, I will know faster." Monica stepped slightly toward the sedan, not threatening, only protective. "If you open that door without clearance, you may break chain of custody and compromise the temperature stability." His eyes hardened at the movement. "Back up." She stopped instantly and lifted both hands where he could see them. "Then check the seal." Reed took half a step forward. Keller noticed. The air tightened. For one suspended second, the only sound was the cooler compressor behind the glass, soft and steady, like a heart trying to keep beating while the people around it argued over who deserved to be believed. Officer Ryan Keller had learned to trust the first story that sounded clean. In 12 years of county patrol work, clean stories were easier to file, easier to explain, and easier to control. A suspicious vehicle. A nervous driver. A person who did not belong. Those phrases moved through reports like facts, even when they began as assumptions. That morning, the dispatch call had been simple enough to fit inside his habits: a black woman acting suspicious around a federal sedan at a gas station off the highway. The caller said she kept looking into the back seat, checking her watch, and guarding the car like she had something to hide. By the time Keller turned into the lot, he had already built the scene in his head. He expected a stolen car, fake paperwork, maybe a scam involving government plates. He did not expect Monica Carter to be calm. That bothered him more than panic would have. Panic would have made sense to him. Panic would have given his suspicion something to grab. But Monica stood under the hard Virginia sun with her hands visible, her voice level, and her eyes returning again and again to the temperature display in the back seat. She was not trying to escape. She was trying to keep him from making the wrong kind of mistake. "Officer Reed," Monica said again, keeping her tone even, "the seal number is printed on the rear panel. You do not have to touch the cooler. Just read it and verify through the federal line." Hannah Reed looked toward the rear door. The government seal was clean, unbroken, and marked with a barcode and a chain of custody warning. Beside it, a small medical transport label read temperature-sensitive cargo. Keller saw Reed looking. "Stay where you are," he said. Reed paused. "Sir, verifying the seal would not break it." "I said stay where you are." The sharpness of his voice made the woman near the minivan lower her phone slightly. Monica caught the movement, the small widening of the woman's eyes, the the moment when spectacle began turning into discomfort. Still, no one stepped forward. Public doubt had a way of standing at a safe distance. Keller moved closer to Monica. "Why are you so worried about the cooler if everything is legitimate?" Monica looked past him at the sedan. 35 minutes. The yellow light blinked again, steady and merciless. "Because the cargo has a treatment window." "For who?" "That information is restricted." Keller gave a dry laugh. "Of course it is." Monica's jaw tightened. She thought of Sergeant Caleb Morris lying in a military hospital bed while doctors watched a clock none of these people could see. She thought of his mother in Ohio, probably packing with shaking hands, folding clothes she did not remember choosing. She thought of the old training phrase printed on the wall of every logistics office she had ever worked in: late is not neutral. Late changes outcomes. "I am not asking you to trust me blindly," she said. "I am asking you to verify. And I am telling you to open the rear door." "I cannot." "You mean you will not?" "I mean I cannot." The words were almost identical, but the difference between them was the difference between pride and duty. Keller did not hear it. He stepped to the side of the sedan and reached toward the rear handle. Monica moved one step, then stopped herself before fear could be misread. "Officer Keller," she said, sharper now, "do not break that seal." Keller turned. His expression hardened fully, no cracks left for reason to enter. "Back away from the vehicle." Monica lifted both hands higher, palms open. "The seal protects the cargo, not me." Reed's eyes flicked to the cooler display. 34 minutes. She swallowed. "Sir, we should call it in." Keller did not answer her. He looked at Monica, at her plain jacket, her travel-worn shoes, her brown face shining with heat and restraint, and chose authority over accuracy. "You are being detained until we determine what is in that car." Monica breathed in once, slow and controlled, tasting gasoline and dust. The cooler hummed behind him, patient as a heartbeat, and for the first time that morning, her voice carried grief beneath the calm. "Then determine it quickly," she said. "Because somewhere in Maryland, soldiers are waiting for the minutes you are wasting." Monica Carter did not resist when Keller guided her away from the sedan. She understood the physics of perception too well. A raised voice could become aggression. A sudden movement could become threat. A black woman defending a federal medical transfer could become a suspect in the mouths of people who had already decided she did not belong there. So she moved slowly, hands still visible, eyes still tracking the cooler through the rear window. 33 minutes. The yellow display blinked against the tinted glass, small and urgent, while the afternoon heat rolled over the gas station in waves. Keller positioned her beside his patrol car, not fully restrained yet, but boxed in by the open door and his body. "You can make this easier by cooperating," he said. Monica looked at him, then at the sedan. "I have been cooperating since you arrived." "You have been confusing cooperation with surrender." The words made his expression tighten. Near pump 5, the clerk had come outside now, phone held chest high, recording without courage. A man in a baseball cap whispered, "She must have done something." Monica heard him. She let the sentence pass through her without turning. She had learned long ago that defending yourself to the crowd could cost the person you were trying to save. Officer Hannah Reed stood near the rear panel of the sedan, close enough to read the seal number but still caught in the gravity of Keller's command. Monica shifted her gaze to her. "The barcode starts with DMDP, she said. Defense Medical Distribution Program. The seal number ends in 742. You can verify without opening anything." Reed looked down. The number was there. Exactly there. Keller saw her reaction and moved toward her. "Reed, do not touch that vehicle." "I am not touching it," Reed said, voice careful. "I am reading the seal." "That is not your call." Monica's voice cut in, low but firm. "It should be someone's call before the temperature drifts." Keller turned back sharply. "You keep talking like a clock scares me." Monica's eyes did not leave his. "It should." The cooler compressor clicked louder for a second, then settled back into its steady hum. 32 minutes. The screen flickered once, and the yellow warning held. Monica felt the old memory rise without permission, a field hospital corridor, a young medic staring at an empty doorway, the sentence nobody wanted to say because the delivery had missed the window. Not by hours. By minutes. People thought tragedy arrived with thunder. Sometimes it arrived with a digital clock and a person in authority refusing to make one call. Keller reached for his restraints. Reed saw the movement and stepped forward. "Sir, she is not trying to leave. She is interfering with an investigation. She is asking us to verify federal cargo." Keller's face hardened at Reed now, and for the first time his authority turned toward his own partner. "I said stand down." The young officer froze, but her eyes went back to the seal number, and Monica saw something important there. Doubt had become responsibility. Keller took Monica's wrists and secured them in front of her, the metal clicking softly under the gas station canopy. No one cheered. No one spoke. The people watching seemed to understand, too. Late, that this was not entertainment anymore. Monica looked down at her restrained hands, then up at Keller. Her face was calm, but her voice carried the weight of every second he had taken. If Sergeant Morris misses that treatment window, this moment will not be remembered as caution. It will be remembered as the reason. Keller leaned closer, angry because the sentence sounded less like a threat than a record being written. "You do not get to blame me for whatever story you invented." Reed's radio hand moved slowly toward her shoulder. She did not ask permission this time. "County Dispatch, this is Officer Reed requesting federal verification on a defense medical distribution program seal number." Keller spun toward her. "Reed." But she kept speaking, eyes fixed on the barcode. DMDP-619-742. Possible temperature-sensitive medical cargo. Request connection to Federal Operations Desk. The air went still. Monica closed her eyes for half a breath, not in relief, but in prayer that the line would open fast enough. The cooler hummed behind them. 31 minutes. Across the gas station, the phone stayed raised, the lights kept flashing, and Keller stood between a detained woman and a truth he had tried very hard not to hear. The federal verification request moved through the radio slower than Monica Carter could bear. It was probably only seconds, maybe less than a minute, but time had changed shape at the gas station. It stretched across the hot pavement, across the blinking yellow screen in the rear window, across the space between Monica's restrained hands and the cooler she was no longer allowed to protect. 30 minutes. The number seemed to burn itself into her mind. Officer Hannah Reed stood beside the sedan with her shoulder radio raised, her face pale but steady, while dispatch repeated the seal number back with careful uncertainty. "Stand by for Federal Operations connection." Keller's jaw tightened. "Cancel that request," he said. Reed looked at him, and this time she did not lower her eyes. "Sir, the request is already in." The sentence landed quietly, but it changed something. Keller was no longer the only voice shaping the scene. Monica watched him feel that loss of control and mistook none of it for justice yet. The clerk's phone remained raised. The woman by the minivan had stopped recording and now held her hand over her mouth. A teenager near the vending machines whispered, "What if she is telling the truth?" Monica heard it and almost laughed, but there was no room in her body for bitterness. Truth did not need permission to exist. It only needed someone to stop blocking it. Through the glass, the cooler compressor gave a soft mechanical pulse. The yellow light still held. Not red. Not yet. Monica turned her head toward Reed. "Ask them to confirm the destination hospital and the treatment window." Keller stepped in front of her. "You do not speak to my officer." Monica looked at him with a calm that seemed to unsettle him more than anger ever could. "Then speak for the soldiers waiting on that delivery." His face hardened, but before he could answer, Reed's radio crackled with a new tone, sharper, cleaner, and suddenly official. "County unit, maintain current position. Secure line transfer incoming from Federal Operations." Keller froze. Monica closed her eyes for one breath. Not relief. Not victory. Just the smallest opening in a wall that should never have been built. Reed unclipped her phone from her vest as dispatch patched the secure line through. The screen showed an unknown government number. She answered and placed it on speaker only after stepping close enough for Keller to hear. A woman's voice came through, controlled and cold. "This is Colonel Evelyn Harris, Pentagon Operations. Identify the officer in command at the scene. Keller took the phone as if it had become heavy. This is Officer Ryan Keller, County Patrol. A pause followed, brief but devastating. Officer Keller, step away from Monica Carter and the federal vehicle immediately. You are obstructing a time-sensitive medical defense transfer. The gas station went silent in a way Monica had not heard since field hospitals after bad news. Keller's eyes flicked to her, then to the sedan, then back to the phone. Colonel, we received a report of suspicious activity around a federal car. You received a civilian suspicion call, Colonel Harris said. You did not receive authorization to interfere with sealed medical cargo. Keller swallowed. We were attempting to verify. Monica looked at Reed. Reed looked down at the seal, and the truth sat there between them, visible and ignored until now. Colonel Harris continued. The vehicle is assigned to the Defense Medical Distribution Program. Monica Carter is the authorized civilian coordinator for this transfer. The cargo in that cooler is required at Walter Reed Medical Center for a treatment protocol involving 4 service members. Current delivery margin was already narrow. Your delay has reduced it further. Keller's hand lowered slightly, as if his arm had lost strength. The clerk finally stopped recording. Someone near pump 5 whispered an apology to no one. Monica did not move. She could feel the restraints cool against her wrists despite the heat. She could see the cooler display over Keller's shoulder. 28 minutes. Colonel, Monica said, her voice quiet but clear, the seal is intact. Temperature warning is yellow, not red. If I leave in the next 2 minutes, we may still make the window. Colonel Harris did not ask why Monica was restrained. She heard enough in that sentence. Officer Keller, she said, each word clipped, release her now. Officer Reed, prepare escort clearance. Preserve body camera footage, dispatch logs, and witness information. This incident will be reviewed. Keller stared at Monica as the final part of his certainty collapsed. Not loudly. Not dramatically. Just gone. He reached for the keys with hands that no longer looked like authority. When the metal opened, Monica pulled her wrists free and did not rub them, though the instinct was there. She walked past Keller, opened the sedan's driver door, and checked the cooler monitor before anything else. Still yellow. Still alive. She looked back once. You can apologize after they get the medicine, she said. Then she slid behind the wheel while Reed moved toward her patrol car, radio already calling ahead to clear the route. The escort began with a sound that cut through the heat like a blade, not loud. Enough to feel reckless, but urgent enough to make every car ahead understand that time mattered. Officer Hannah Reed's patrol car pulled out first, lights flashing, clearing the highway entrance while Monica Carter followed in the black Federal sedan, both hands steady on the wheel, her eyes moving between the road, the dashboard clock, and the cooler display reflected faintly in the rearview mirror. 27 minutes. The warning light still glowed yellow. Not safe, not lost, just balanced on the narrow edge where discipline still had a chance to matter. Behind her, Officer Ryan Keller followed in the second patrol car, silent now, his radio open to the secure line where Colonel Evelyn Harris remained connected. No one filled the air with excuses. The road toward Walter Reed Medical Center stretched ahead in bright strips of asphalt and shadow, past tree lines, exit signs, construction cones, and morning traffic beginning to thicken near the Capitol corridor. Monica breathed through the old pain in her side, the kind that came when stress found an old injury and pressed its thumb there. She did not let it change her grip on the wheel. Temperature status, Colonel Harris said through the car speaker. Monica glanced back. Yellow warning, still within range. Seal intact. Estimated arrival 18 minutes if the escort holds. Reed's voice came through next, focused and clear. I have requested traffic control ahead. Hospital receiving team has been notified. Monica heard something different in Reed now. Not fear. Responsibility. The younger officer had crossed a line that mattered, from following command to following truth. Keller's voice entered after a long pause. Colonel, this is Officer Keller. I will provide a full statement after transfer completion. Colonel Harris answered without warmth. You will provide body camera footage, dispatch records, and a written account. The statement comes after the soldiers receive treatment. Monica kept her eyes on the road. The words should have satisfied her, but there was no satisfaction in a rescue that had almost become an apology. She thought of Caleb Morris, 26 years old, lying in a sterile hospital room while a mother flew east with fear folded into her carry-on bag. She thought of the other 3 service members whose names she did not know yet, because sometimes logistics protected people whose faces arrived later. She thought of Keller laughing at the idea that someone like her could carry national security cargo. The memory touched her like heat from an open door, but she refused to step into it. Anger could wait. The medicine could not. Traffic parted unevenly. Some drivers moved quickly to the shoulder. Others hesitated, confused by the sight of patrol lights around an unmarked federal sedan. Reed handled it with calm commands, her cruiser moving just far enough ahead to keep the path open. Monica followed the lane precisely, never rushing beyond control, never braking harder than the cooler could tolerate. Every turn mattered. Every second had weight. 15 minutes. The display flickered, then held. Monica's jaw tightened. "Come on," she whispered, not to the car, not to the cooler, but to the fragile chain of human decisions that had brought them this close and could still fail. Colonel Harris heard the breath in her voice. "Monica, receiving team is standing by at the east entrance. They will meet you at the curb. Do not park. Hand off directly." "Understood." A brief silence followed, then the colonel's voice softened by 1 degree. "You did well holding the seal." Monica's eyes stayed forward. "I should not have had to defend it from the people who were supposed to help." No one answered. That silence was not empty. It was acknowledgement. In Keller's patrol car, the body camera still recorded the road, the lights, the federal sedan ahead, and the distance between what he had assumed and what Monica had protected. At last, the hospital complex came into view, glass and concrete rising beyond a line of flags moving in the wind. Reed guided them through the final turn. The east entrance doors opened before Monica stopped. A medical team in protective transport gear waited with a rolling carrier, faces alert, hands ready. Monica pulled to the curb with 12 minutes left. She stepped out, opened the rear door, and for one suspended second the world narrowed to the intact seal, the yellow light, and the soft hum that had never stopped. "Transfer seal DMDP-619-742, she said clearly. Temperature warning yellow, still within range. Chain of custody intact. The lead clinician scanned the seal and nodded. Accepted. The cooler moved from her car to the rolling carrier, then through the hospital doors, disappearing into the place where urgency became treatment. Monica stood at the curb as the automatic doors closed behind it. Her hands were finally empty. Reed stopped beside her, breathing hard though she had barely moved. Keller arrived a moment later and stepped out slowly, no sunglasses, no hard smile, no clean story left to hide inside. Monica looked at him once, then back at the hospital doors. "Now," she said quietly, "they get the medicine." The hospital doors closed behind the cooler, and the sudden quiet outside felt almost unreal. After the sirens, the radios, the highway, and the gas station lights, the curb at Walter Reed seemed too clean, too bright, too ordinary for what had almost happened. Monica Carter stood beside the black federal sedan with the sun reflecting off the glass entrance, her wrists free but still remembering the metal. Officer Hannah Reed remained a few steps away, watching the medical team disappear down the corridor with the rolling carrier. Her face carried relief, but not comfort. Relief meant the medicine had arrived. Comfort would have meant there was nothing left to answer for, and everyone there knew better. Officer Ryan Keller stood near his patrol car with his hands at his sides, no longer blocking anyone, no longer commanding the space. He looked smaller outside the gas station, away from the crowd that had first made his certainty feel powerful. Colonel Evelyn Harris stayed on the secure line, her voice coming through Reed's phone now that the transfer was complete. "Receiving confirms chain of custody intact," she said. "The treatment team has begun preparation. Sergeant Morris and the other service members are still inside the window." Monica let out a breath she had been holding for miles. She did not smile. She simply closed her eyes for 1 second and let the words pass through her. Still inside the window. In logistics, that was as close to grace as language ever got. Reed looked at Monica. "I am sorry I hesitated." Monica opened her eyes. The apology was simple, and because it did not try to excuse itself, she respected it. You stopped hesitating when it mattered most, she said. Reed swallowed, nodding once, but her eyes shone with the cost of that lesson. Keller stepped forward slowly. He did not reach for his sunglasses. He did not square his shoulders. He did not say ma'am in the polished way officers sometimes used when trying to make harm sound procedural. Miss Carter, he began, and the name seemed to make him face her more honestly than any title would have. I was wrong. Monica looked at him fully then. The automatic doors opened behind her and released a breath of cold hospital air, sharp with antiseptic. Wrong about what? She asked. Keller blinked. The question did not let him hide inside a general apology. He looked toward the sedan, then down at the curb. Wrong to assume you did not belong with that vehicle. Wrong to treat your warning like a trick. Wrong to hear a civilian suspicion call louder than the facts in front of me. Monica waited. Keller's jaw tightened, not in anger now, but in shame. Wrong because I saw your race before I saw your duty. The words sat between them in the sunlight. Reed lowered her eyes. Colonel Harris said nothing on the line. Monica felt no triumph. Only the tired weight of a truth that should not have needed a federal call to become visible. That is what goes in the report, she said. Not that the scene was confusing. Not that emotions were high. Not that there was a misunderstanding. Right that you had the chance to verify and chose not to until Officer Reed forced the call. Keller nodded slowly. I will. And right that the delay nearly affected a medical treatment window. His face tightened. Yes. Monica's voice softened, but not enough to make the truth comfortable. People like me are always asked to stay calm so others can take their time believing us. Today, those minutes belong to soldiers in hospital. Beds. Keller looked toward the hospital doors as if he could see through them now, past concrete and glass, to the patients waiting for the treatment he had delayed. His voice dropped. I understand. Monica shook her head once. Understanding starts after you stop being embarrassed. Before he could answer, the doors opened again. A clinician stepped out, mask lowered, eyes tired but bright. Miss Carter. Monica turned. The clinician nodded. The first dose has been administered. Sergeant Morris is responding. For the first time all morning, Monica's face changed. Not into joy, not yet, but into something warmer than relief, something that reached her eyes before she could stop it. Reed pressed a hand to her chest. Keller looked down. Monica stood very still, letting the news settle. The cooler had arrived. The seal had held. The window had not closed. And the woman they had doubted at a gas station had carried the difference. Monica Carter did not go inside the treatment wing right away. She stayed near the hospital entrance where the morning light reflected off the glass and the flags outside moved in a steady Maryland wind. Her job had been to deliver the cooler, preserve the seal, and protect the chain of custody. The doctors would do the rest. Still, part of her remained with Sergeant Caleb Morris and the others beyond those doors, because no one who spends years moving medicine ever truly stops at the handoff. She knew what happened afterward, the quick scan of labels, the quiet confirmation of dosage, the monitors watched by tired eyes, the families waiting for a sentence that could let them breathe again. Officer Hannah Reed stood beside her without speaking. That silence felt different from the silence at the gas station. This one did not accuse. It made room. Keller remained several feet away, giving a statement over the phone to his supervisor while Colonel Harris listened on the secure line. Monica heard pieces of it, not because she tried to, but because the truth was finally being spoken without polish. He said he had detained her after she requested verification. He said Officer Reed had initiated the federal call against his direction. He said the seal was visible, the medical label was visible, and the delay was avoidable. When he reached the hardest part, his voice dropped. My assumption was influenced by bias. The words did not heal what happened, but they changed the shape of it. Harm named plainly has less room to hide. Reed looked at Monica. He said it. Monica nodded once. Now he has to live differently after saying it. The hospital doors opened, and a woman in a travel sweater hurried out with a nurse guiding her by the elbow. Her eyes were red, her hair tucked hastily under a scarf, a boarding pass still folded in her hand. She looked around until the nurse pointed gently toward Monica. "That is her," the nurse said. The woman came forward slowly, as if approaching too fast might break her. "Are you Miss Carter?" Monica straightened. "Yes." The woman pressed both hands over her mouth, then lowered them, trembling. "I am Caleb's mother." For the first time all morning, Monica did not have a procedure to follow. No seal number. No route. No clearance language. Just a mother standing in front of her with gratitude too large for ordinary words. "They told me the treatment made it in time," Caleb's mother said. "They said you would not leave without getting it here." Monica's throat tightened. "Your son is strong." The woman shook her head, tears spilling quietly now. "He is 26. He still asks me to send peanut butter cookies when he is deployed. He is strong, but he is still my child." Monica reached for her hand, and the woman held on with both of hers. Behind them, Keller stopped speaking. Reed turned away for a moment, blinking hard. The hospital entrance, with its polished floors and automatic doors, became suddenly intimate, as if the whole morning had narrowed to this one proof of what those lost minutes had meant. A young soldier was not a case file. Not a restricted detail. Not a treatment window. He was someone's son. Colonel Harris spoke once more through Reed's phone, softer now. "Miss Carter, the Pentagon will request your full report. Your actions preserved the delivery." Monica looked through the glass toward the hallway where the cooler had disappeared. "Officer Reed. Help preserve it too." Reed looked surprised. Monica turned to her. "You made the call when it mattered." Reed's shoulders lowered, but Monica continued. "Remember why you had to." The lesson landed without cruelty. Keller ended his call and approached, stopping at a respectful distance. "Miss Carter," he said, "my supervisor is initiating review. I gave the statement you asked for." Monica looked at Caleb's mother, then back at him. "I asked for the truth. What happens next depends on whether you keep choosing it when no one is watching." Keller nodded. He had no defense left, and for once, he seemed to understand that was a beginning, not a punishment. The nurse returned with an update. Caleb was awake enough to ask for water. His mother broke down then, not loudly, but with her whole body, and Monica held her hand until the nurse led her back inside. Only after the doors closed did Monica lean against the sedan, exhausted. The red mark on her wrist had faded, but the memory of the restraint had not. Reed noticed. "Do you need medical attention?" Monica shook her head. "No. I need people to stop needing proof from power before they believe humanity." No one answered, because no answer was better than pretending the sentence was simple. The review began before Monica Carter left the hospital parking lot, but the real change took longer, the way honest change usually does. Reports were filed. Body camera footage was preserved. Dispatch logs were matched against the federal call. Officer Hannah Reed wrote that the seal was visible, the medical label was visible, and Monica had requested verification repeatedly before Officer Ryan Keller allowed the truth to be checked. Colonel Evelyn Harris submitted a separate federal statement, clear and unsparing, confirming that the delay had narrowed a medical treatment window for 4 service members and that Monica's restraint, discipline, and refusal to abandon procedure had protected the cargo from being compromised. Keller's department placed him on administrative review, and for once, the phrase did not disappear into paperwork. The gas station clerk gave his video to investigators. The woman from the minivan gave a witness statement. The teenager by the vending machines wrote in his statement that Monica was the calmest person there, even when everyone else treated her like she was the danger. A week later, Monica visited Walter Reed again, not with a cooler this time, but with a small paper bag from the cafeteria and a cup of ice water. Sergeant Caleb Morris was awake, pale, and sitting up slightly beneath a white blanket, his mother beside him with one hand resting on the rail of the bed. When Monica stepped into the doorway, Caleb looked over and gave a weak smile. "You are the delivery lady," he said. Monica smiled back, tired and soft. "I have been called worse." His mother laughed through tears, and the sound filled the room with something ordinary and holy at the same time. Caleb reached for the cup of water, and Monica handed it to him carefully. No speech. No medal. No crowd. Just a young soldier alive enough to drink water and complain that the hospital television had terrible channels. That was enough. In the weeks that followed, Keller's department announced new procedures for stops involving federal vehicles, medical transport labels, and civilian reports shaped by suspicion rather than evidence. Officers would be required to verify visible credentials before escalation, preserve emergency timelines, and complete updated training on racial bias and de-escalation. Reed was asked to help build part of the training, not because she had been perfect, but because she had changed course in time. Keller's written statement became the part people quoted most. He wrote, "I treated Monica Carter as suspicious before I treated her information as credible. My assumption was influenced by racial bias, and my delay could have harmed people who were depending on her." Monica read the sentence once when Colonel Harris sent it to her, then set the phone down. She did not need to keep staring at pain just because someone had finally named it. Months later, she drove past the same Virginia gas station on another medical route. The pumps looked ordinary. A man bought coffee. A family argued gently over snacks. The highway kept moving. That was the strange thing about places where dignity is tested. They rarely look different afterward. People have to become different instead. Monica slowed at the light, glanced toward pump 3, and remembered the police lights, the yellow warning screen, the metal around her wrists, and the voice in her own chest that had refused to break. Kindness had not made her weak that day. It had made her strong enough to stay calm when anger would have been justified, strong enough to protect strangers who might never know her name, and strong enough to demand truth without surrendering her humanity. At Walter Reed, Caleb Morris eventually walked the hallway with a physical therapist, one careful step at a time. His mother sent Monica a photo, and on the back she wrote, "Because you did not let them waste his minutes." Monica kept it inside her transfer folder, not as proof of who she was, but as a reminder of why she kept going. Outside her office window one morning, the flag moved in a clean blue sky. Her next route was already scheduled. Another cooler. Another clock. Another life depending on people doing the right thing before power forced them to. And that was the lesson she carried forward: humanity should not require a badge, a rank, or a call from the Pentagon before it is believed. So if you had been standing at that gas station, watching a black woman ask for one simple verification while the clock kept running, would you have listened before the proof arrived, or would you have waited until authority told you she mattered?